Well, good afternoon, good morning, good evening, wherever you happen to be across the world today. Welcome to another live iThemes training event. We are here with Kathy Zant from KadenceWP. Kathy's going to be talking all about the new Kadence Blocks 3.1 beta. My name is Nathan Ingram. I am the host here at iThemes Training. And Kathy, I am delighted to be back with you here.
I'm always happy to hang out with you and everybody over here and iThemes Training and talk about how to do more with WordPress. And Kadence is doing so much fun stuff. I couldn't resist. Had to show you some of this.
Absolutely. So we have folks in the pre-show. We are greeting folks from across the world, even someone in Australia who is up really, really early at this time of day. Dedicated Kadence fans down in Australia. So glad to see everybody here. We do have a couple of things to talk about there in the chat. We've been mentioning these in the pre-show as well. But there's a link here to the page that we're looking at on the screen to register for the Kadence Blocks 3.1 beta. So be sure to do that. We'll put that in the event description as well if you're watching this on the replay. Also, an event coming up on Monday talking about moving an Elementor site to KadenceWP. Kathy, what possessed you to do something like this?
All right. So my son built out a site. He's got an e-commerce site and he built it out himself a few years ago. So it is an Astra/Elementor site before I even knew that Kadence existed. And that was the route that I advised him to go as a non-coder to build out a site. And he asked me how to do something. And I'm like, oh, we haven't put you on Kadence yet. What's wrong with us? So we jumped on Zoom and I showed him how to basically switch the Astra theme over to Kadence. And then we started doing more. And I'm like, wait, I'm going to stop. I'm just going to stop right here because I feel like this, I don't just want to show you, I want to show other people. So are you okay if I use your site to show other people who maybe want to move from a page builder over to building with blocks and building with Kadence blocks specifically? Can I do that? And of course, my son looking for me to do free work for him. He's like, have at it. He's really ramping up his e-commerce site. He's going to start running some ads and stuff. So he's all excited to move over to Kadence and to see how that helps his e-commerce site perform. So yeah, we're doing that on Monday. And since Ben and Hannah, who usually join me for these types of things, are going to be hiking in the Rockies, Michelle Frechette from Stellar WP is going to hold my hand because I want to do this by myself, right? And so Michelle's going to join me for jokes, color, and design ideas because she's always got some good ideas too. So it's going to be a good time.
Oh, that sounds great. So that is coming up Monday, and the link is there in the chat if you'd like to register for that YouTube live stream. Today, we're talking all about Kadence Blocks 3.1. So Kathy, give us an overview of the things we're going to be looking at in the next hour or so.
Okay, well, I'm going to assume that a lot of the people that are here have been sort of on the Kadence journey with us for a little while. Earlier this year, we transitioned from Kadence Blocks 2. Star over to Kadence Blocks 3. That was a big jump. Ben and the dev team did a lot of refactoring of Kadence Blocks. For those of you who don't know Kadence's history, Kadence Blocks was actually a plugin that was created before Gutenberg, the block editor, was ever a part of WordPress core. So because it was so early to the game, because Ben saw where Blocks was going and said, I think I can make this better, and created Kadence Blocks. It's been around for a while, but Gutenberg, the speed of development with Gutenberg is just so fast, and some things needed to be refactored. So Kadence Blocks 3 was a refactoring of Kadence Blocks 2 and sort of modernization of the underlying code structure. What that has allowed our dev team to do is to rather rapidly make some changes to Kadence Blocks 3 that are going to change the way we build a lot of things with WordPress. And I'm just going to show you some of the highlights of what this is all about. Of course, you've got a link in the chat over here if you want to go get the Blocks 3.1 beta yourself and put it on a test server and kind of play along as I am showcasing some of the things that are my favorite features that are coming. You can go ahead and do that. It is not production ready. Don't put it on a production site. Make sure you're putting it on a test site, but you can play along too. And you can test things out, and maybe you'll discover things that I haven't even found yet. Because as I was preparing for this, I was just like, and there's this and this. There's so much fun stuff that's going to make building WordPress sites with Kadence so much more fun, so much easier, so much faster. And I can't wait to show you some of these things.
All right, that's what we're going to be doing over the next hour. So if you're just joining us here in Zoom, I see several folks have joined since we began the recording. Make sure you have the chat open, and you will see there a link bundle that has the link for the page you're looking at here to register for the Kadence Blocks beta, as well as the link to the replay. So if you missed this, if you've missed part of this, or you want to share, if you leave early, or if you want to share this with someone else, we'll have the replay with all of the chat log, the transcript, and everything ready in about an hour after we finish. So as you have questions throughout, please use the Zoom Q&A function. So if you mouse over the Zoom shared screen, you'll see the menu bar appear, and you can click the Q&A button down there, and that will give you the place to ask questions. I would suggest you keep it open, because as other people ask their questions and you have the same question, just click the thumbs up icon, and we'll take the questions in the order of upvotes when we get to the Q&A part of today, and we'll have plenty of time for that. So, Kathy, let's get started. I'm looking forward to seeing all the things in Kadence Blocks 3.1.
Yeah, let's get started. Okay, test sites. I have a few. One of them is my dog site. He's a golden retriever, and this is a landing page that I built out, did a video on just like some structures that are effective for landing pages. And so here's one of my test pages. I just installed Kadence Blocks 3.1 beta on here so that I can show you what this will do for you and your landing pages. So of course, who doesn't want to see cute golden retrievers? That's what we're here for, right? Row layouts. You probably have a few of them if you are working with Kadence Blocks. You probably have a list view on the side over here that looks a lot like this, and we see all of our nested content here. And it's really hard sometimes for you to dive in and figure out, like, I just want to go change some text, and you see your page. And which block is this row layout? I guess I could click on it and it'll open it up. But when you're over here and you have like an entire page of row layouts, or an entire page of sections, and it feels a little overwhelming, wouldn't it be great to just like organize them in a way that makes sense? Welcome to Kadence Blocks 3.1, where we now have the option to rename blocks. So the first one is our hero area. And look at that. The next one here is going to be, let's say, our social proof area. And now our row layouts are labeled in a way that makes sense to your developers so they know what exactly they're going to be getting into. Now, if you have frameworks that you're developing, you might probably want to think about how you might want a consistent naming convention across all of the sites that you're managing, so that when you have something coming in from like a design library, that you're naming things in a way that makes sense. So this might take some strategization. That's not a word. It might take some strategic thinking in order for you to come up with naming conventions that are going to make sense. If you're using Cadence Cloud, for example, and you have your own design library, you can name all of those things in the design library too, because you're going to have Kadence Blocks 3.1 installed there as well. So you can name things there, and then in the design library, those things should come in and have the exact naming convention so that you can keep things organized across all of your sites. I'm done. That's enough, right? But wait, there's more. There's always more. There is so much more. Let's get to another page. I know that is enough. Doesn't that feel like, oh my gosh, what a relief? This is all good stuff. We're going to add another page, and I am going to show you the progress block. Let's do 5 of them. So what I just did, let's keep this open because we're going to show how this changes how we think about things. Okay, so this is going to be our progress bar layout. and we're going to name that. In this section, I am going to add our new progress bar. And we're going to have a progress bar there. I have to close the chat so that I can see everything on this side. And I'm going to make circles. How's that? I actually can probably just copy these, right? Copy block. I'm always terrible at these because I have to do a paragraph tag and then paste the block, and then I can paste the block. Here's my next. Oh shoot, I pasted it there. Trying to do that here. And I'm still here. All right. What I was trying to do here is add our progress bars, and we're going to do live demo. Where is my circle? All right. Went so much better when I was practicing earlier. I am going to remove these guys. Here's our section. We're going to put our progress bar here. What is going on? This is where I would probably just like start over. There are different types of progress bars that we can add. There are linear progress bars. I'm going to start over, and I am just going to do a quick row layout. Not that row. See now, as soon as one thing goes wrong, then everything kind of goes wrong. I'm going to do a row layout, and let's just do a couple of them. And we're going to do our progress bar. We can do progress bars that are just lines, or we can do circles. And that was the circle that I really wanted to show you. Then we have all kinds of different other settings where we can make these lines super thick. Like if you wanted to make it take up the entire circle, you could do that. And then your progress percentage, you can set however you'd like that. And let's say you wanted to make all of them. What I was going to do is 90% down. I have big dreams. But you can then add another progress bar, let's say here, and this might be just something that's happening with, I didn't put my focus. We're just going to set these this way.
Kathy, Jake is mentioning in the chat that there's a bug with the progress bars in the editor. They look fine on the front end, but
yeah,
it's something he's reported to the development team.
Thank you, Jake. Thank you so much. I know you were playing with the progress bar because I saw you doing that this weekend. So there is a bug. This is beta. But anyway, there's tons of fun things that we can do with progress bars here. Tons of different implementations. If you want to show like progression of something, or you want to show how various different social networks are being utilized, or any kind of measurement where you're trying to show some kind of data. This is a data visualization tool that allows you to basically show your data in a way that is meaningful. People don't read statistics. They want to see a visual representation so that they can grok that information immediately. So you can show the number there, you can turn that off. And of course, with Kadence Blocks, we like our animations. If you want your animation to last a little bit longer, of course, we want to wait until the visualization is visible so that we can animate it as soon as that comes in. The progress bar block has been in the works for quite some time, and it is coming with Kadence Blocks 3.1. So this is one of the new blocks. But really, what I am here to do more than anything else is to show you the form block, because this is so powerful. So let's leave that, and let's go to Kadence Blocks. Over here, this is Kadence Blocks 3.1.2, which is the most recent version of the beta that's available. You'll now see on the side, your settings, of course. And then you'll see a new link here for all of your forms. I have a number of forms that I've created. I'm using Kadence Blocks on this test site, and we're going to show you how these things work. And then I am using Kadence Blocks Pro as well. And one of the Pro features that is that enhances the form block is the ability to have all of your form entries show up in the database so that you can quickly, easily export them to CSV. I'm going to show you how to do that as well. But let's get into building out forms. Now I have a number, I'll give you an overview of some of the ones that I have already built out, but let's go ahead and just build out a brand new one. This is going to be the dialogue that you'll see. We're just going to label this form test. Where did my form block go? There it is. So we have our form block, and I am going to start at, well, let's form test. I'm going to start a new page. And we are going to not title it yet. We're just going to dive into a form, and we're going to start with a contact form with options. And we're going to do just a basic layout here. You can optionally add a description here. So this will just be our optional description. And that is going to be just something that is just for you. All right, so now we're going to create our form, and it's titling it for us here. And we have some auto-populated fields. When you're just getting started with a form, it's typically easiest to just get started with some initial fields so that you can just start populating those things. So we're going to start that way first. We have our name field here and email. So you'll have to think through like what data is coming in and how do you want that data to be managed. So let's say we want our name field to be set up as required. And you can see that that asterisk is going to pull in there. We want to show the label. We can put in a description that would be put under the display name for that. We can also add an optional placeholder. So we can say, like, if we wanted it to say first name, we could do something like that. There's one feature that I want to show you that is really cool. If I can move things out of my way. And that is associated with, let's see, where was it? Our text field controls. And then there is a specific, oh, it is part of the form itself, isn't it? This is cool. This is so cool. And it's something I know that our dev team is pretty proud of for our input fields. And that is under our labels. So let's say we have our labels right now, our name, our email, our option 1 and 2 is all above the actual field. There's something called float label that now brings that name, the email, into the field itself. And when we go in to then populate that field, the label pops out above it. So if you can see how that behavior is working. So that setting, again, is for the entire form. It's not a field by field setting. So by the entire form, you would just go to your input settings and your label layout style, and that is called a float label. So that's something that you can do. You can do an in-field label as well. So that would show up something like that. So that it is kind of within the container of the box. And again, that is all under the form settings for the entire thing. And then of course we have label colors. The asterisk color, you can change the color of that. Like if you wanted it to be a specific color of red or whatever you wanted to do, you can set up the font sizes globally for your entire form. You can set that up here. I am going to set this up because I really like that float label. I think that that is lots of fun. We're going to play with that just a little bit. Our options. When you want to control the input that is coming in from your users, there's a number of different ways you can do it. You can do it with drop downs, you can do it with radio buttons, and you can do it with checkboxes. Typically with drop downs and with radio buttons, those are things where you want somebody to select one answer, yes or no, or a maybe, or there's one item within each of your drop downs. If you want somebody to be able to select multiple things, checkboxes are the way to go, because then they can have as many checkboxes as they need. For these drop downs, for these options, you can go ahead and select as many as you would like here for these options. And then your labels and the default values would be set up here. You can also set this up as a multi-select for this dropdown. Typically with accessibility, multi-fields, I believe, are something that can cause issues. If accessibility is an issue, you might want to do checkboxes instead for that, because it might be just a better user experience. But if you're doing something internal and accessibility isn't that big of an issue, you can do something like a multi-select on a particular dropdown. And since I'm mentioning accessibility, I mean, accessibility in forms is kind of a big deal. And there's a couple of things that we want to make sure we are doing. With this hover, that name is still going to be accessible, because the screen readers are going to be naming, with that hover effect there. But there's other things that we can do to help people with screen readers. For example, field name, we can enter something there, and the input aria description, we can put in a longer description other than just the field label. We can add that information there as well. And these are all under our extra settings under advanced for this particular field. So that's where you're going to find the additional information for aria descriptions and for all of that. Okay, email. There was something I was going to show you with email. You'll see here the dynamic content. This is just the first advanced form block. I can imagine so many new things that are going to come to us with dynamic content and what's going to happen with the form block. For example, if you have a very data-driven site where you have user input and you have logged in users that you would like them to be able to update their particular information, and you have all of that stored in custom post type, this is something where you can start then to tie all of that information in. So let's say for the email, we can tie to the current user. Just going to be going to open up a whole new world of being able to manage data-driven content with your users with the advanced form block. So much fun stuff happening here. I want to show you now let's go over some of the additional fields that we can work with. Here we have a job application. And when somebody is applying for a job, what happens? They want to upload a resume. And now we have a new field capability that allows you to take file uploads, which is super exciting. So if you have users that are uploading their photos or they're uploading resumes, all of that is now available in the advanced form block. just adding a new field. Let's say we wanted to add another field. We have the cover letter here. We have the resume here. But let's say we wanted to have them upload references or something like that. We have all of our fields here. One of our advanced fields is file, and we have our field label. We can add that. So let's say we want our references. We want that shown. We want that to be a required field. And we can add in, of course, a description here. We can set up our file options, the file size limit, 10 megabytes. It'll show you down here your WordPress max upload size. Make sure that whatever you set up here, you might need to change that in your PHP if you're like me and you're on a test site with a 2 gigabyte limit. 5 megabytes seems to be our, and we should read that from, that's possible. Note to devs. And then you can, what kind of file types you can limit this, which is probably good to do. So if we don't want people to be uploading anything other than maybe images and PDFs, we can select those. I recommend just like not having everything. You want to limit it to things that are going to make sense for you. And all of that can be done without any coding right here in Kadence Blocks. Some extra settings that are available, again, area descriptions and field error messages. If you want to customize this, that's always good. If there's something specific, if you have a required field, this is going to default to references as required, but you might want to provide some additional context. You know, that's something that you definitely want to think through. Other things, let's go and add some more fields and just take a look at some of the fields that we have available. We have, of course, our text field, first name, address, all of those standard short answer types of things. Email field, which is going to be something that's going to check for email validity. We have text area for longer form. We have selects, which are those drop downs or multi-select. Radio buttons. A telephone field will be formatted for telephone. So there will be some extra, where's the settings for that? I believe there's, I thought there was additional settings there, but again, some of the standard settings there. Checkboxes, number, if you want to limit somebody to be just typing in numbers rather than text. And this is kind of cool because you can swap easily back and forth between the text and number, telephone, those types of things. Next up, let's look at some of these advanced fields and talk those through as well. So we just talked about file uploads. Time. If you want to have someone enter in a time and it has to be specific to that file or to that data type, we can do time. And if you wanted to have a placeholder for that, like say, for example, you wanted to let them know that they should be typing in that placeholder field label. No. That's time. And then the placeholder or the default value is where we would do that. Like if we wanted to make sure that people were using a specific time format, just to show them what is expected to be coming in for that particular type of field. So advanced fields. Hidden fields. I wanted to talk about hidden fields a little bit. If you're not familiar with the underlying HTML types of fields, a hidden field is something that a form would submit, but the user might not know that that is being submitted, but that information is going to be captured somehow. And that is going to go into the data that's submitted to your database or submitted via your form. The implementation that came to mind to me as a marketer for a hidden field here would be, for example, like if you're doing some kind of campaign, and you have UTM codes coming in on the query string, and you wanted to know, for example, the UTM source of where this is coming from, or the campaign where it's coming from, and you want to capture that along with the data that's coming in. A hidden field is a great way to do that, because you don't necessarily want the users to be thinking about all of that crazy stuff, but it's something that's important to you as a marketer to see what is coming in and what is important. So field label would just be something, because it's hidden, that would just be internal to you. So let's say we want to call this UTM source, and then our default value, I'm going to make sure, let's see, extra settings, populate with parameter. So here is where you would enter the parameter that's going to be used for that particular page. So if on the query string, on the parameter line for the URL that's coming in, and you want to pull in UTM source, you can put that there. And this isn't something where you can do ampersands and like tie it all together the way it is on the query string on that URL. You would have to set up different ones. So let's see, we want to say that UTM source is coming through, but then also we want to check the particular campaign. It's under extra settings, populate with parameter. And so we are going to store UTM campaign. And I am going to also put that into our field name for both of those as well, because that is going to be, so I would just populate those the same way. And did I do that right? Yeah. And it should be, oh, I didn't set it up under here. So I would set it up in all of those places. And then that way, that hidden field is still going to get populated and still going to be stored. And it will give you additional information of what's coming through on that form. So hidden fields is another fun part of fields that we have to play with. Then if you take a look at how the form block is laid out, again, we can rename this as well. So Kathy's breaking things. This is what I do. And we can name that exact form. Any Kadence block, job application, we can change this to you can change it to advanced text application, you change it to whatever you'd like. Same thing with the row layouts. So you see, this is all nested. So you can have row layouts within your form as well. So let's say we see our form here and it is 2 columns. It looks pretty nice, but somebody says we need to add something else to this row. Pretty easy to do, because we have that row layout within the form. So the row layouts within our forms keeps things nice and neat. So we want to add another field here. We can do that. Let's say we want to add, I just want to add a text field. So we're going to put that here, and this is going to be our suffix. We could even do that as a drop down if we wanted to, but we have all of those nested in here as sections on that particular row. And let's say somebody, because we are within that row layout and we still have the capability to move things around. If we wanted to, shoot, I clicked in the wrong place. We wanted to say, we don't want to have suffix, we put it in the wrong place. We would like this to be someone's title. So Mr., Ms., whatever, we can switch that around very easily. So all of the benefits we got with Kadence Blocks 3 are here with us with Kadence Blocks 3.1. Let's see. I think there are a few other fields we were going to take a look at. And we've got all of our layouts, all of our sections, CAPTCHAs. Again, we can do CAPTCHAs here. You'll have to add your API keys, and turnstile HCAPTCHA are also options there as well. But again, I'm almost certain, the Kadence original form block has a honeypot associated with it that I've had some good success with. I haven't felt a need to put reCAPTCHA on things, and I'm almost certain that we have that same honeypot. I can't imagine why it would not be here. So you can still use the honeypot that we have for our form somewhere. I'm certain it's here with our settings. Maybe it's not. All right. I know there are a lot of people here, myself included, who have been waiting for months, maybe years, to hook up ConvertKit to our Kadence forms. And instead of having our ConvertKit forms, to be able to just use an API and take our Kadence forms to be able to populate straight to ConvertKit, that is now an option with our form. It's under form, under general, after submit actions. I would like this stored to email. I would also like it to go to ConvertKit. And then I also want it to get stored to the database. So you can do all of those things. One of the funky things about forms, a lot of people just think, oh, well, I'm going to get the email and that'll be enough. First of all, it's really important to make sure you have SMTP set up on your hosting account. There are plugins that'll do it for you. Don't trust that email is like, don't just send it off to email. Always send it someplace else as well. That's one of the benefits of having this database entry, because you know it's still on the same server. There are so many different things that can go wrong when you're sending something to email. So don't ever just like set up a form and just rely on email. And then why am I not getting these things? It's just like the worst nightmare in the world to realize that you've had a form capturing leads and all of the leads maybe didn't get captured because of the dependencies that go along with email. So always try to send it someplace else as well. Database on the same server being the best way to do so, and then go check those database entries as much as possible as well. Some of the other things that we can do, adding a form description. Once the form is submitted, we want to give some kind of feedback to our users that the form submission was successful. I know like contact form 7 would just have like this green label across the top, at least back in the old days. They may have changed it. And the form was still there and you were never quite sure, did it go through? Because sometimes you would miss that green label that would hit above it. Hiding the form after submit is one great way that we can visually represent to our visitor that, hey, yes, this did go through. And then of course we want to have some kind of confirmation message. So our email settings, making sure we set up our email of where we want things sent to, the subject, at whether or not it's an HTML email. This is all standard to the things that we had with the standard form block. But again, it's here for the advanced form block as well. Our database entry settings, if GDPR and privacy considerations are important to you, you might want to turn off saving the user's IP address or their device information. You know, that'll be on a case-by-case basis. Make sure you have a privacy policy if you are storing user data, because the user's IP address is considered PII, or personally identifiable information. So make sure that, you know, if you are storing things in the database, that you take good care of that and that your privacy policy is reflecting that as well. ConvertKit settings, if you select ConvertKit, this option will then show up for you, and you just need to go into ConvertKit and put in your API key. And then of course, test it, make sure that that is working. And then your message settings, success message. While we do have some messages here that will help your users understand whether or not their form was successful or not, it's really important that you customize these and really think through the user experience, making sure you have a good success message, that the form validation error, if there's like a field that didn't get populated correctly, that those error messages all make sense. And if you have a required field, there's an option for each field that you can go into and set up a validation message for that particular thing, like last name is required, example. And then if there's an error message, that you provide more information and some direction for what you want your users to do. I've been talking a long time, and I bet you there's some questions, Nathan. I'm going to take a drink of water.
Oh, there might be 1 or 2 or 16 questions in the list right now. All right, folks, how cool is this? What an amazing form builder and great addition to Kadence Blocks. So if you have a question you haven't asked yet, and particularly if you ask a question in the chat, please put that over in the Zoom Q&A so we can take those questions in the order they have upvotes. And also just take a minute to pop open that Q&A box if you haven't already. Scan through that list of questions. And if you have the same question or want to hear the answer, click the thumbs up icon to vote up that question. So let's get started with a question here from Sue, Kathy. Sue wants to know if Kadence Forms have conditional logic tool. If I check this, something else happens.
That's coming. It is coming. It won't launch with that, but it is coming. And one other note, even though this, I know this is a lot, there's a lot of features here and there's a lot of functionality here. If you don't use the advanced form block, it's not going to load on the front end of your site. Only the blocks that you have populated on a page will load on the front end of your site. So even though this functionality exists for you to use, it doesn't get registered on the front end to your users. It's not going to create additional bloat unless, well, and not that it's creating bloat, but the functionality of anything doesn't get loaded. This is just how Kadence is architected.
Yeah, really smart. I'm going to skip down just a little bit here because we had several questions come in about, can Kadence, the new Kadence form block, replace fill in the blank popular forms such as gravity forms or fluid forms? What do you think?
Eventually, I think that, I know it's coming and there's a lot of functionality coming. Where it is today, gravity forms and ninja forms and all of I love my forms friends. They have tons of functionality. There's a lot of functionality that, they do because that is their core business. Whereas we're kind of like more of a generic site building tool. I think it's going to be on a case-by-case basis, but I think what you're seeing here is that the functionality, the ability to do dynamic content and pull in your users' information to be able to tie into advanced custom fields, it's stuff's coming.
Yeah. And so just for example, if for a simple site build where all you really need is a contact form, there's no need to install one of those plugins. It's all built into Kadence Blocks.
Right. And there still is the standard form block. So the form block that you have right now on your production site using Kadence Blocks 3, that form block still exists. So if you have built contact forms or newsletter subscription forms, all of those sorts of things, those forms are not going to necessarily be migrated over to the advanced form block. They're still, that block still exists as something that you can use. But this is more for like new things. And I'm the existing form block is pretty simple and it's made for like contact forms and it's made for subscriptions and things like that. This is more for job applications and, where we need to do a lot more intricate types of things. So.
Yeah, and that's actually a really good point that we should highlight is the advanced form block does not replace the standard Kadence form block. They'll exist side by side in the set of blocks.
Right. Yeah. So if you look at, let me just insert after hello. It's still in here as an option. So if we just look at our forms, where's the form block? It was there a minute ago. I'm sure somebody can see it on my screen better than I can see it on my screen, but it is, it's still in there. And the other thing another thing in Kadence Blocks 3.1 is that our naming is, on some of the blocks is changing so that when I'm still in the form, I think that's what my problem is. I think if I went to just like a new page and, oh, I'm in forms. If I went to a new page, then I could add new, and then let's take a look at some of those other blocks. So you can see that form block is still there. And then some of the other fields, just to make finding things easier, you'll see the form has ADV for advanced text, ADV gallery, just so like when you're trying to find something really quickly and you just want a text block, that's going to come up faster. Or if you're just like, I want to stay in Cadence and just type ADV, it's going to pull up all of these guys, that type of thing. So that's another little thing that comes with Kadence Blocks 3.1.
That is handy.
Yeah. It's
Okay.
little things.
Yeah. So this question came up at the very beginning when you were showing the progress bar, and Kay wanted to know if you can make the number in the progress bar dynamic.
The number dynamic. I'm pretty sure. Dynamic.
So yeah, so that number of the progress, 90 of 100.
Yeah, like if you wanted to tie it into,
pull that into a database field.
Yeah, good question. You know, I don't see.
I see
Oh,
a
you
dynamic
do
content
see.
icon.
Yes, yes, you can. It's right up here. Sometimes it's on the right, sometimes it's up there. It's right up there. So let's say you had a post custom field and you had data that was being manipulated in a custom field and you wanted to pull that in as your information, you could do that. I don't have anything set up here and we don't have time for it, but look at there.
That's pretty cool.
There it is.
All right. Question for Sue. Are the inline or floating form labels accessible by screen readers? Will they read those?
I believe so. I have been beating a drum about accessibility, and so I know as I'm watching it. Yes, I believe so, that those are accessible and screen readers will be able to read those well. And we are working on tons of because forms and accessibility is kind of like this thing. We are going to be working on some documentation and best practices for how people can create more accessible forms.
Nice. Question here from Marcus about some integrations with Amazon SES to send email. And also, is there a way to post form entries into Fluent CRM?
I don't know about the Fluent CRM, but the beta download is available from that link that Nathan shared earlier. You can test it. I don't know. I don't know the answer to that one. And then
so Jake says that you can in the submit actions.
Oh, yeah. Yep. Fluent Forms. We've had connections to Fluent Forms for quite some time in Fluent CRM.
And then the Amazon SES would probably be controlled with a plugin outside of the form where all of your WordPress email, that would be a better practice, I think. So all of your WordPress email gets shifted through that transactional email service.
Yes, exactly. So many hosting providers do not have PHP email or mail function set up. So the best practice is to have a plugin that does it, whether you're using Mailgun or SendGrid, or there's tons of different services that'll allow you to send emails, and you just have to have the plugin installed that does that actual transactional email. Always trust your forms email, and then still don't trust your forms email. It's stored in a database. I think I have some PTSD for you. Like, yeah. Oh no, that wasn't working.
Absolutely. All right. Marcus would like to know if there are any options to deal with GDPR inside the advanced form.
Dealing with GDPR.
And I guess specifically this would be if you're contacted by someone who wants you to remove their information, is there a way to find entries that are associated with that person?
Yeah. So within, let's see, I would how I would handle that is I would make sure that you're storing to the database and that all your form entries are here so that you can quickly filter on them. I don't have any entries here to look for, but you can export to a CSV and search that way. You can filter and search for that particular person's information. And one of the things that I am going to do that is on my list is I am going to actually address that specific question of how to use Kadence forms in order to take in the GDPR data removal requests and how to handle all of that. So I am going to take that as a question and answer it and show you exactly how I would handle it in that particular video.
That sounds like a fun video to come. And Marcus clarified what he meant in the chat, like a checkbox to consent to your information handling about his website and so forth.
Yeah, that is... there's a specific form field that I forgot to mention about that. Let's say, for example, we wanted to add that here. Which one is it? It is the advanced field accept. So if you wanted to accept the privacy policy, whatever you wanted to put in there. So this is the acceptance thing, and we can make that required.
Perfect.
And of course, for that, you do not want to start checked. You want to make the user take action.
Yeah. Let's see. How about multi-step forms? Is there any work done toward that in that direction?
I am certain it's coming, just because as I'm working on the progress bar and in the forms, I can see how all these things are kind of coming together, but I have no idea where that is on the roadmap, but I could see it coming.
Interesting. So before you leave the page you're on, Kelly had a great question in the chat right now of, can you put HTML in the field label to make that privacy clickable to the actual privacy policy? Is surround that, well, where you just were. If you surround that with the privacy with HTML, or maybe put it in the description, just put an A tag around that.
Let's see my keyboard.
Yeah, it looks like it's picking it up.
Yeah.
Mohammed says there's a link option.
Is there?
Maybe under advanced.
Mm-hmm. Says enter a word or two without spaces to make a unique web address just for this block called.
Yeah, look at that. Just in the toolbar where bold italic link in the content area, in the toolbar, there's a link, bold italic just to the right, bold italic link.
Oh, yeah.
So we could do something there to make the whole thing linkable. That's a good catch, Mohammed.
Yeah. Nice.
Boom. Okay, so that'll be in the actual item, but that's fine. Either way, you can still, there's multiple ways to get a link out there to your privacy policy. That's pretty cool. Okay, moving on. We have still several questions stacked up here. Stephanie, where are the uploaded files stored when they come in through the form?
Good question. I have not tested that. So they're stored on your server somewhere. See, now this is one thing that I am going to play with, because I have malware on my computer, PHP malware. And so I am going to try to hack myself through this and see if I can get malware uploaded, because I like to try to break things, because uploads and security makes all my alarms go off. So we'll make sure that that can't happen, because I'm going to try it.
Interesting. All right. So just continue to follow the Kadence YouTube channel for all the things Kathy breaks. That should be your new YouTube channel, Kathy.
Yeah.
Kathy breaks things, and that'll be it.
Yeah, definitely. I need to register that domain.
So following up on that, Sue wanted to know if there's an option to specify where uploaded files go. Could there be like an add-on to upload to Dropbox or Google Drive or whatever?
Good question. I have not seen anything like that, but off server uploads. Yeah, I like that idea. I'll find out.
Excellent. Let's see. Las is asking, I really don't expect it, but any chance for calculations to be made in forms?
Calculations. I don't know that we have anything like that. We do have a date picker. I forgot to show the date picker. So that exists for dates. It's not a date picker, is it? Oh, I just made a duplicate. I'll ask. I don't see anything with calculations available, but that might be this is a lot of functionality coming in a V1 of a function of a form.
It really is. Yeah.
So there's going to be a lot more coming. So
right. And imagine how the Cadence team will iterate on this in the future. This is exciting.
Yeah.
Okay, question here from Paul. Is there any reason or way to ensure that a Cadence form will submit? I've tried on 3 different sites, various email accounts. A form submit email is never received. Somebody suggested trying SMTP plugin. What else should I try before I go this route?
Make sure that it's being saved to the database. Save that first, because there's so many things that can go wrong with email. I would first make sure that it's being saved to the database before I start troubleshooting the mail, but the mail is going to be an SMTP plugin. You're going to want to make sure that your site can send emails, all of that. There's a lot that goes into that, but that's where I'd start, is with the database first.
Yeah. And honestly, it is a particularly if you're, our audience here on iThemes training is people who do WordPress with clients. And I recommend over and over and over again, just invest in a transactional email service.
Yes.
It's worth it. In my agency, we use Postmark. It costs $10 a month and it covers all our clients for one $10 fee. And it just works. And you don't have to worry about those things. Okay, let's see. Next question, Marcus. Can you show a bit about the style customization options? Can we change backgrounds, fonts, rounded corners?
Yes. And you can change things based on the form itself, all the styles. So you can change your input colors, placeholder colors. You can change your input backgrounds if you like to get really funky with things. You can change your font sizes for various things, all kinds of different case settings. So anything that you could style in the past is something that you can style. Your padding, how you want your labels to show up, if you want those to have a particular color, font sizes for all of that fun stuff as well. Radio checkbox labels, if you want those to be set differently. The help text, how you want that all set. I know our time is coming to a close, but there are so many different style settings here.
All of the styling features you see on other Kadence blocks are baked right in here, which is super cool.
Yes. Yeah. And you can style a lot of things individually as well with additional CSS. So
yeah. Kelly wanted to know any plans on adding repeater fields or form submission by Ajax?
Repeater fields, yes. I know that is in process. I don't have a timeline on it, but I know it's in process. And I don't know about Ajax submission.
Question here from Bob. Is there a spot on the Kadence website now in documentation or a blog post or something where it shows all of the things in the new form block?
All coming.
It's coming.
It's all coming. Release date on this is we're counting down. It's days, not weeks. So, well, less than 2 weeks. We'll just say that.
Very exciting. We'll take a couple more questions. We're already at time now. We'll do 2 more questions and we'll wrap up. Cami would like to know, Kathy, what does the output look like when it appears in an inbox for form submission? Like is there a way to I think the question here is there a way to customize the email that might send to a person or to the site admin from a form submission?
Very good question. You can send it as an HTML email as settings within here. Messages. Customization of that could probably be done, but I think it would have to be done code wise.
Got it.
I'll have to find out. I don't know off the top of my head.
All right. Last question. Billy would like to know if you can upgrade from the standard Kadence form into an advanced form.
I was playing with that earlier and I didn't find a way to do that. But I can find that out. But here's the deal is most of your current forms with Kadence, using the current live production version of Kadence Blocks are pretty simplistic forms. So recreating them here would not be that difficult.
Right. That's kind of what I was thinking.
Yeah.
And there's just one more question left here. And an anonymous attendee would like to know what CAPTCHA services are available on the form.
Yes. CAPTCHA is, I know we have turnstile, reCAPTCHA, HCAPTCHA, all of those settings. I don't remember exactly where they are. I know it's HCAPTCHA, reCAPTCHA, I think V2 and 3, and then turnstile. And I'm pretty sure the honeypot's here, although I tried looking for it and didn't find it. But I know our current version of the form block has a Kadence honeypot, and I'm almost positive that it's available on this form as well.
Looks great. All right. So many things in Kadence Blocks 3.1 coming in days, not weeks. Days, not weeks.
Yeah, well, we'll just say
Ish.
less than 2 weeks.
Less than 2 weeks. All right.
Yeah. Or
very good.
thereabouts.
All right, Kathy. Actually, Sue has suggested that we start a GoFundMe for a bottle of wine for you after this demo.
Well, it wasn't that bad. Although that progress bar, what the heck? I might have to go fight with that. That was supposed to be super easy. I had done it earlier, and that one just
There's always going to be something that goes awry in a live demo. So good stuff.
Yeah.
So Kathy, wrap us up here. Give us a few takeaways as we're finishing.
Yeah, sure. Well, our takeaways are go play with the new form, the advanced form block. Please beta test it. Go beta test that progress bar block so that I can sleep. I need that more than wine. Go test, set up a test site and play with how you might be using it. And this is it's gonna make building out more data-driven sites. That's what I'm really excited about, is when we start connecting this to your advanced custom fields, your custom post types, when we start making it easier for our users to update their information. All of that kind of stuff is what I'm really excited about. It's great to collect information and store all of our UTMs and see what's working for us. But when we really start getting functionality to our users and see what they're going to do with it, then that's when the really powerful things happen.
Very cool. Well, thanks again, Kathy, for a great demo today. Marcus wants to make you the official Queen of the United States. I don't know if we can do that, but
I have a tiara. Michelle sent it to me. I'll wear it on the live stream on Monday.
You should get my tiara out. Absolutely do that. All right, y'all, that's going to wrap us up. I've just dropped in the chat one more time the link for all the things, the link to sign up for the Kadence Blocks 3.1 beta. It's there. The link to watch the live stream, which is coming up on Monday at 3 p.m. Central, where Kathy's going to be rebuilding an Elementor WooCommerce site using Kadence. And finally, the replay link, if you want to rewatch any of this or share it with a friend, we'll have that up in less than an hour from now at the link there in the chat. Well, Kathy, thanks again for hanging out with us today. Folks, that's going to do it for us for this live stream. I'm back for iThemes training members tomorrow for office hours, as usual, at 1 p.m. Central. That is tomorrow, July the 20th. Have a great rest of the day. We'll see you back here tomorrow on iThemes training.